Welcome to First Amendment Mastery. Speak freely and defend your rights. In this first module, we will take you from a complete beginner to a confident defender of your constitutional rights. By the end, you will have a solid foundation in understanding the First Amendment. Let's begin our journey by exploring the exact text of the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Just 45 powerful words, ratified on December 15, 1791, as part of the Bill of Rights. Notice how it all starts with Congress shall make no law, emphasizing limitations on legislative power. Importantly, Supreme Court rulings have since extended these protections to state and local governments through the 14th Amendment. To understand the First Amendment, we must delve into its historical context. The American Revolution concluded in 1783, yet the original Constitution drafted in 1787 lacked a Bill of Rights. Prominent anti-federalists, including figures like Patrick Henry and George Mason, demanded explicit protections for individual rights. The key architect of our rights, James Madison, proposed 12 amendments in 1789, 10 of which were ratified in 1791. This amendment was a response to the lingering memories of British tyranny, such as the oppressive Stamp Act, suppression of colonial assemblies, and the persecution faced by religious dissenters like the Quakers and Baptists. To visualize this progression, consider the timeline. 1776 marked the Declaration of Independence, 1787 saw the signing of the Constitution, 1789 was when Madison introduced amendments, and 1791 was when the Bill of Rights was ratified, leading with the First Amendment. This amendment was forged in the fires of rebellion against government control over expression and belief. The First Amendment serves as a safeguard against government overreach. It protects our individual rights from laws or actions that unduly restrict our freedoms without compelling justification. Imagine it as a firewall against government infringement. For instance, it prevents Congress from establishing a national religion, protects our rights to criticize politicians online, and stops unlawful bans on church gatherings. Picture a city council trying to outlaw protests against a new tax. The First Amendment stands firm against such legislation. This is the essence of democracy, where informed citizens can challenge and check government power. Now let's break down the 5 core freedoms enshrined in the First Amendment. First, the freedom of religion, which includes the Establishment Clause and the Free Exercise Clause. For instance, while schools cannot mandate prayer, individuals retain the right to pray privately. Courts have ruled against blanket bans on religious services during the COVID pandemic when stores remained open. Second, we have the freedom of speech, which offers broad protections for verbal, symbolic, and political expressions. Sharing opinions on social media, especially during elections, falls under this protection. However, remember, this freedom is not absolute. We'll cover exceptions in later modules. The third freedom is that of the press, which safeguards the right to publish and broadcast information. Journalists cannot be jailed for reporting critical stories. In the digital era, blogs and podcasts are part of this press protection. A notable example is the journalistic coverage of the Watergate scandal that ultimately led to Nixon's resignation. The fourth freedom is the right to peaceably assemble. This protects our ability to hold peaceful protests and rallies. While governments may regulate the time and place for safety, they cannot discriminate against viewpoints. Think of major peaceful demonstrations, such as the March for Life and Black Lives Matter protests. Finally, we have the right to petition, allowing citizens to write letters, file lawsuits, or lobby government officials to address grievances. This right is crucial for activists challenging rights violations. To summarize, here's a visual reference table of the 5 freedoms and how they overlap. A single protest often involves assembly, speech, and press simultaneously. Moving to modern relevance, notable issues today include social media deplatforming and the nuanced relationship between government pressure on private platforms and First Amendment rights. In the workplace, public employers must uphold speech rights, while private ones have more flexibility. The protests in 2020 highlighted that peaceful assembly is protected while violence is not. Additionally, religious liberty clashes continue, such as bakers refusing to make cakes for same-sex weddings. Imagine encountering a traffic stop where you confidently assert, "Officer, this is protected speech under the First Amendment. I'm not breaking any law." Notably, a Pew Research survey found that 62% of Americans feel that free speech is under threat. We must remember that without the First Amendment, self-censorship could stifle innovation and justice, as shown by Martin Luther King Jr.'s marches that relied on these protections. As we wrap up, here's our roadmap for the course. We'll cover core principles of speech, religious liberty, press and expression, assembly and petition, landmark cases, the limits of speech, and the differences between public and private spaces. Each module builds on this foundation with practice quizzes and real-life scripts. Remember these 3 key takeaways: commit the First Amendment text to memory, know the 5 freedoms inside and out, and view this amendment as your shield against government overreach. As an action step, write down 1 way you will exercise a freedom this week. Get ready for Module 2, the freedom of speech, core principles, where we will explore what speech is protected, the significance of symbolic speech in landmark cases like Texas v. Johnson, and how to confidently assert your speech rights in real-world situations with practical scripts. We hope you're excited to continue this journey.